Hey, good afternoon, good afternoon. Hey, this is Spirit Journey. How you all doing? Yes, today is Monday, March 24th, 2025, and the time is 8 to 1 in the afternoon. Yeah, I feel a little heavy-hearted. Let me mention first thing. Today is my late brother's birthday. Yes, yeah, my brother had passed away 2021. Wow. Yeah, just remembering. Yeah, may he rest in peace. And yeah, just have a lot on my mind. You know something? I think it's like something's in the air, so to speak, that the news that I'm getting, the type of news I'm getting now when I watch videos on YouTube, people back home in America, they're getting introduced to this same type of videos I am getting. Yeah, so it's really something. So I think with my mind, that's where this video will be focused on. Um, yeah, I have families in America. I live in Rwanda. I've been living here now um, 14 and a half months consecutively. And briefly, the prior year, 2023 for 10 days, but I had to leave and then come back. But it's a 14.5 months consecutively here. And yes, I live in Rwanda. It's really interesting to live on the continent of Africa. And when you're watching news about Africa, yes, have hello viewers. That's we have viewers. Hello, hello, hello. Yes. Yeah, I feel a little heavy-hearted, but I just think it's the signs of the times, what we're all going through. And the fact that people back at home they were recommended a video on, what's his name? Oh, I can't remember. The leader of, oh, Faso, something Faso. Oh, please forgive me. How could I do that? Burkina Faso. And I was just watching videos about him. And I'm also being referred to video by, what's that? Dr. Afri, 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 Africana, Afriana, something like that. Dr. Afri, really bad with names, so please forgive me. And I think it's just the signs of the time that it seems like the same thing is being spoken all over about the continent of Africa. What is going on? I just have some notes here. Yeah, I was watching the Dog Afriana, and I started laughing in irony. Not that it was so funny, it wasn't funny, but the irony of it all. She was talking about the country of Niger, or Niger, it's also pronounced. Um, she was saying Niger has lithium, and lithium is used in the Western world. It provides these people in Europe energy, light. About 90% of Europeans are provided for with this mineral. But Niger has a zilch. She said it with such like irony, like they have so much of these valuable minerals, substances, but they sell it to the European. But they get pennies. And I thought this, I think a week ago, about you have a product and then you sell it and you get pennies. I talked about this on, I was doing a walk at the time. And I, I'm really frustrated how she mentioned it, this doctor, Dr. Afriana, speaks truth, this woman. She actually got her training in America, and she lived there for over many years. I think right now she's living in Ghana. She married a Ghanaian, but she was a diplomat in the U.S. for the African Union, and her vision really is to speak on behalf of Africa. She gives a lot of lectures, and I'm to this individual. I recently might have been hearing her, maybe a month ago. I was introduced to her via the internet, and she makes a lot of sense about things. And she's talking about Niger. I mean, I started laughing and I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed of truth that it's happened again. Could you imagine? You supply 90% of Europe or a particular country, 90% are provided for through this lithium. They make batteries out of this material, lithium. I think it's also used in psychiatry for your mind. But either way, what does Niger have as a result of this trade? What is the country? Again, I'm not here to poo-poo or measure what this country had, that one. I'm not here to make fun of anybody. Okay, that's not my bag. But how this doctor mentioned I was embarrassed of this fact. You supply this valuable ingredient, substance, and it provides other nations with so much. So it's an imbalance of exchange of goods. Why do we do this? You remember that the other week I talked about the chocolate, that these cocoa pods that come from West Africa, but who dominates the cocoa, Europe. And this woman said that she makes after processing cocoa, gathering the cocoa pods and, just what she has to do with them. I think it was less than $2 a day. The chocolate market, again, a non-individual, but when I was young in America, boy, I ate chocolate. Yes, I ate a lot of chocolate. I like chocolate. I like milk chocolate. Um, I assumed growing up. I mean, I didn't know you know, what cocoa, what it looked like. The unprocessed cocoa. I didn't know what it looked like, and then to see what it actually looks like, and that you take something like that pod and then you create chocolate. I remember working at a resort, and Thursday night was Italian night, Italian desserts, and chocolate was the theme, really. Chocolate. And chocolate is powerful. And I didn't like Thursday nights because it was chocolate night, and I see a plane ahead coming my way. Yeah. Um, Chocolate night slash Italian night meant that people were going to get cuckoo. People were going to get aggressive and very demanding and you know, praise. And so I didn't want to work in it. So chocolate, uh, I don't know whether it's the sugar. I mean, all of the desserts. I made. I was one of the bakers there at this resort. I was working in. When the plane is gonna come ahead. Wait a minute. It gets louder. Just a moment. Okay. Yeah, chocolate night was a night you want to avoid. I remember that. So here you have a substance, cocoa even. Cocoa. You know, you make candies out of it, cakes. You can make a lot of things from it in culinary arts. So this is a very valuable product that many people enjoy. So how is that? How is it that, yeah, Dr. Arikana, yeah, I think that's the name, Arikana, Dr. Arikana, she's from Zimbabwe. She got a medical degree in America, actually. I think now she's living in Ghana. She's married to a Ghanaian man. Um, but she had a lot of insight. And here in America, I have some family members. It seems like some of them are being referred to the same type of video I'm getting here in Rwanda. Rwanda is in Central East Africa. So it's like, wow, I'm really sorry. Hear these things. Yeah, so I just feel it's the sign. It's the signs of the times, the signs of the time that certain things are coming to people's awareness, and that is Africa. Here I'm living in Africa. I'm the only family member, only relative that I know that's living on the continent of Africa. So it's really interesting through my perspective of living on the continent for about 14 consecutive months, 14 and a half, 14 consecutive months. My feel it. Um, I am, it's all the same thing. It's really hard to really say. Really, it's the same thing. How could Africa be free? How could, um, how could, how could you become truly independent as a continent? Again, Africa is not a country, a continent, but how it's often spoken of, and even with Dr. Ari Khanna, she says she is an African first. And interesting because I think that's interesting because she comes from a nation. She comes from Zimbabwe, and she's married to a Ghanaian. And plus, she's lived in the United States for many, many years, over 20 years. So I asked myself, are we all, perception. You may call yourself African or being an African, but amongst Africans, are you perceived as such? That first question. How we may define ourselves. That one's going to define themselves the same way, even though they may be on the continent. They might identify with calling themselves, let's say, a Muslim. Some may say they're, of a tribe, like let's say the Bantu, etc., etc. So the continent of Africa is a big one. You have many, many, many languages. You have different customs. You have even the way people look are different. That Africa is not very homogeneous. Even being here in Rwanda, there are different types of so-called African people slash black people. They come in different sizes. Some are tall, some are short, some are very thin. Hey, hi, Ian. Good to hear from you. Yeah, some are very curvy, different. Even the faces are different. So, how could you say? I mean, are the people who call themselves African, are these the ones that primarily, primarily maybe they lived in the West, or like America? Or what if they're from Europe, but they're of African ancestry? So, excuse me. So, I would say, coming from a place like that, a Western world, that yeah, I could see some of them may say that they're an African first. But if they're in Africa, born and raised in Africa, had all their children in Africa, how would they define themselves? Would they define themselves as for their religion, their tribe, the nation that they're born into? Again, and I can just go from one country to another regardless of what I look like. I need my papers. So you may call yourself a label, but there's still rules and regulation of whatever label you call yourself. Africa is a continent with many, many people. But Dr. Afri, Afriana, Ariana, she's thinking, if I understood her right, why do we have to have a passport to go from one country to another within Africa? There shouldn't be a border, and that she if I understood right again, make Africa one. Economically, how would this affect the people who live on the continent? Well, you do have migration now. You have people trying to leave the continent to go to Europe. That's also what I saw today. You have, get this, you have people, I was surprised, people from West Africa, that's what they said, West Africa, and they go through what they call the Sahel. That's like the border between, like, with the Sahara Desert is, and the part that's green. But there, the desert portion to get through the initial entry is what they call the Sahel, and they serve like a middleman, and they were carrying, they were able to get the vehicle, these trucks. There were a lot of them were Toyota trucks. Toyota, that's from Japan. Those trucks are made in Japan. At least the company is from Japan. And they were riding what they call migrants into Libya. And then from Libya, they wanted to enter Europe. Well, okay. I am just looking at my notes. Okay. The country of Belgium told these North African countries to not accept the people, the migrants, and do not allow them to enter Europe. And then Belgium offered a bribe, money. Says, you do this for us and we'll give you money. So this video I'm watching, um, again, Europe is telling, well, Belgium in specific, is telling these African countries of the north who's transporting the migrants over to Libya, and from Libya enter Europe. Yeah, Libya, it's it kind of part of it of the country jets out into the Mediterranean, and it's real close to Spain. So they could just take a ferry, I guess, a ferry boat that goes from there to enter Europe. Once you in your that part of Europe, the EU, just kind of travel within. But isn't that something? Someone from outside is telling people from Africa what to do. And yes, you had many of them who said, okay, we'll take the bribe. Well, the money, the video I'm watching, that I was watching, uh, some people, the people who actually was in the field of transporting migrants into Libya, they didn't get their money. Um, the bulk of the people in that trade did not get the money, but there was an individual who took the money and then gave the money to their friends and family, and not to the people who were in the industry. So, yeah, that person's not liked very much. In addition to that, the same program, I had a visitor. They were a francophone individual, French speaking, white guy from Europe. I don't know what country in Europe. I don't know whether it's Belgium or France. And he's like interviewing people. And I don't know why he's there. I mean, you know why he's there, but why is he there? But either way, he was asking some questions. And I thought it was very brazen of this individual to be a guest, to come into, they went to Niger, and he was asking them and questioning them that, how many kids you have? He talked to a chief there, and yes, they had a lot of children, 13 children, and 13 or 16. They And that the European was presenting that as a problem, that why they have so many children. Well, you know that in Europe, so you can spin it around. What year was this now? This was relatively recent. During the COVID, not supposed to say the C word. Remember what happened in 2020 with that particular thing that came from Wuhan, China, that thing, and it made a lot of people sick. Well, I'm sorry, I just lost train of thought. I'm sorry. Boy, I can't stand this. Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of people are becoming unalived in the country of Italy. And it turns out that Italy has a very, very senior population, a very senior population. Yeah, they have an elderly population, and they were, according to the media, they were dying like flies in 2020. I remember, yeah, it was scaring me actually when I was watching. Yeah, that this was early 2020. I mean, watching films, I mean, the videos, they had coffins and trucks that were taking the body. I think now that was, a lot of that was hype. I'm sure, yes, I'm sure some people have transitioned in Italy. But I think that it was exaggerated. But either way, the population in Europe, Western Europe at least, their numbers are not really growing. Such as in Western Europe, they're being paid to have children because they're not reproducing. They might say, they may feel that they don't need to reproduce because they don't need the children. You know, you live in an industrial nation, and when you, an industrial nation does not prosper having a lot of kids. But if you're traditional, live in a traditional country, and you're a farmer, yes, you bet having kids is going to be an asset to you, right? So isn't it something? So you have your Western Europeans, and in particular Italy, which is dying. Their growth is shrinking. Other countries in Western Europe are shrinking. So how are they going to benefit? Excuse me. How they're going to benefit by that? A dead nation, what does it have? What will it produce? And then the French speaker from Europe is saying, you know, pointing to Niger, why do you have so many children? It's a slap in the face, I think. You know, the also Niger, I think it's heavily Islamic, heavily, and you have different attitudes about birth. And the guy said, you know, it's your strength to have, you know, children. It's what will sustain you in your old age. You know, he spoke wisdom. So people, you have people who are foreign to Africa and they want to impose its beliefs, its customs, standards of living. But Africa is different. I mean, yes, you had colonization, but not everybody is really under that institution because you have the bulk of the population who are, I call them, of the earth. These are people, traditional people, who have their modest homes out of mud. They gather their water. They grow their crops. Real basic people. They really live in trust of trust of God. You know, they trust about how where they're going to get their substances from God. But you have other nations. They don't have to gather. Get find water to bathe in. Um, their food, they just go to the supermarket. And a lot of these places, they don't even get crops from their own country. It's imported, like where I'm from. I'm from New York City in America. And the food is grown there. Well, yeah, we have farms in upstate New York, but primarily in New York City. Everything you seem to buy there in New York is imported from somewhere else. New York City, we have a lot of ports, deep water. So these big ships cargo ships can just can drop off stuff. So, excuse me. So we're not short of supply. But it's sad. This it made me feel very uncomfortable about this stranger visiting Niger, and he's trying to convince people that they should be, you know, even singing. They got offended. Little birdies. The people getting a little offended also. See, in Islam, music was that music is not allowed. So something about music. He wanted to do something with music there. Not allowed in their according to their religion. So So even that, they, this outsider wanted to introduce. And I think, in my opinion, how people from Africa, at least historically, was manipulated was through their religion. Religion seems to be the first protocol to transform any region on this planet. They want to teach you what you can't do and to not like yourself and that you need a savior or you got to do things to please God. If God really exists, how they think it does, God will already tell you what to do. You go, what does God need of some stranger from another country to tell you what it wants you to believe? If God wants you to know something, God should tell you first. That's just my opinion. I feel that, again, whatever what you like, if you want religion to control you because it does something, go for it. Go for it. I'm not here to tell people what to believe in, but but my opinion, anything that you practice, it should benefit you. And if it doesn't benefit you, you should question why you are serving something that's not serving you back. Yeah. What you serve should serve you back. So, so where does this leave? Like, why did this man feel so brazen? This French speaker feel so brazen to be able to go to Niger and tell an Islamic region about about children, how many children you should have, and even music. Well, you got a lot of Westerners. Yeah, a lot, even in America, where I'm from. I was born and raised there. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the birds here. Wow. Yeah, this is, yeah, I'm on the balcony here. I'm going to turn the camera. I want you to show you what I see. Yeah, this is, I could keep it like this. This is, out my balcony. This is Africa, in Rwanda, and it's absolutely beautiful. Yes, when I'm talking, I get really distracted because of the beauty that I see. I would never think I would be in a place like this. Okay? It's absolutely beautiful. It's not perfect, but no place is perfect. So, my showing you this, it's very relaxing. Yeah, I was getting very stressed. Yeah. So, so that's what's happening. Sometimes looking out, in front of me and seeing the beauty that is actually here in Africa, in Rwanda. It's a beautiful place. Yeah, looking at the birds and more. It is beautiful. Yeah, I was getting very stressed, and I said, I just need to talk, need to come on the balcony and just talk. It makes me feel better. See, the system wants to, they want to trick you. They want you to feel that you're inadequate. And to Dr. Arikana, how the Western world wants to make Africans think that any product, anything that comes from Africa is bad, and anything from the world is good. Yeah, I was brainwashed like that too. I'm not gonna lie about that. Yeah, I as I got older and started getting more and more frustrated about the system, about, you could in your heart feel like, hey, you want to join the majority, be, very modern, all this and that. But it only could, how do you say this? You're always going to be reminded, really not a part of the number. And before I left for Africa, for Rwanda, I like, I don't need this anymore. Now again, I I I I love my country because I'm from there. I served in the military there. I have respect for where I lived. But I found out as I was getting older that people were not respecting the country. People weren't respecting the land. People were throwing garbage. People were unaliving others. You had people who were smuggling in migrant, what they call migrants. Migrant means to move around. Well, when you move, you have to have permission what you're going to enter in. I can't enter your home. So use these euphemism, migrants. It's not migrants. They're people who want to jump the line. There's a process, just like there's a process for me. Because I want to claim my African heritage, that I can just go walk into any African country. No, no, I can't do that. You have to follow the rules, even in Africa. You need to have a passport. You have to enter the border legally. You better have some money on you because the application process. And, it baffles me also that, like, one of the people being interviewed, he was what they call a migrant from West Africa entering, you went through the Sahel, got the middleman to drive them up to Libya, and then from Libya go to Europe. He said he had about, what's that, over €1,000 dollars, maybe 1,500 euro. That's a lot of money. Could just take a plane? I don't know. See, I don't know. See, they were relocating. They're being what they call migrants because they're looking for jobs, okay? So, my question is, why, if you can save up 1,400 francs, I mean euro, 1,400 euro dollars, I mean euro currency, how come you wouldn't take that money and apply for a visa, a tourist visa, something? I don't understand it. The amount of money people have, they have some money and they won't go in. They could say, and no, I'm not encouraging this, but someone could say, okay, I get a tourist visa, and then they don't return. There are people who do that. They go on vacation, they love it so much, they don't want to leave. You have that. But to go through a place like Libya, yeah, they don't like, they don't seem to like people uh, from below the Sahara. And again, the North, it has a heavy, well, they do look different. But many of the people that live in North Africa, to my understanding, their origins are not African. Their origins is from Turkey, um, Persia, where else? Um, uh, the colors from Europe. Yeah. So they look a little paler. And they blend in with the indigenous population. So, but yeah, there is conflict. There always seems to be conflict when people from the south of the Sahara going up north. It's always a problem. But why this conflict? Yeah, oh, and someone was saying to possibly uh, create a war. So I think what's happening also, people see, they listen to American news, and like with Trump saying, build that wall, right? Well, build the wall to illegal immigration to prevent this. But you have a lot of people from North Africa going into Europe. Remember Arab Spring? Hello? Hello. Arab Spring. What was that? North Africans primarily, and yes, French West Africa, many of them, and they were entering Europe. So it was not just sub-Sahara. In any, a lot of people on the continent, they know, see, a lot of Africa were under colonial power. Sorry, not going to compete with that. Yes, so you have um, many nations on the continent of Africa who were under colonial rule. And yes, many of those former colonies in Africa were entering Europe. Yes. So, but they're using the thing, at least the videos watching, and say, oh, this, yeah. So go going by. Yeah, they're doing a lot of construction here too. But yeah, so they want to build a wall, prevent people, really, they want to keep, so I don't want to make it always a so-called racial thing. Yes, it's true, sub-Sahara is a darker skinned people, and people up north, like mixed bloods from uh, of Europe, Turkey, Persia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, all that, those people. Again, North Africa was colonized too, the Islamic world. So so I think what they're doing, if it's okay for Trump to build a wall, then it's okay for people on the continent of the Sahel to keep people south of Sahara Desert from coming up north. But it's not preventing. You have people from Morocco, people from Algeria, they're going to France. Hello? I've been to France. And they have whole communities there in France. I was in France when I was in the military, and I saw their neighborhoods. Yeah, I was attacked too. Yeah, yeah, I was attacked in France. Um, and you see, a lot of people, they want to go into these Western countries. Why? Because it is better. It's a better way of life. Better in the sense that you can get drinking water, you have access to food. They have a system that they benefit by. It doesn't require the same type of energy or effort. Okay. But you know what they also bring with them from these countries? They bring their custom, and they, in their customs, think it okay to assault women. I'm putting it out there. Are all of them like that? No, I'm not saying that all of the men in North Africa want to attack women. I just know what happened to me, and I didn't do anything to provoke. Again, this was in Europe, this was in France, and I was with another woman from when I was in the military, and we were in our civilian clothes, and I was fully covered. It was a section in Marseille, France. Marseille is in the south of France. Marseille has a lot of people of African ancestry, mostly from North Africa. But I think you also have some from French West Africa, but mostly North. uh, Arabic. And they have pastry shops. I like sweets, at least back then. So I just went with this was maybe 7:30 in the evening, around 7:30 in the evening. That's not late. And we are adults. And I gather what happened. And I think they thought we were Arab speakers because after the incident, they're yelling at my friend. My friend could easily pass as a light-skinned Arab. She had a very prominent nose, the curly hair, and everything. I don't know what she was, but I think because of her phenotype that he thought that she might have been a fellow Arab speaker. And because he wasn't nice to her either. She had with her thing first, and I saw how he looked at her. But I just thought, oh, maybe he's just having a bad day. But either way, you don't hit anybody because they want to be outside at 7:30 in the evening to buy a pastry from you. See, a lot of people see sometimes people, people's customs, okay? People's customs could limit how well they do in life. You got a custom where, okay, what if I wanted to buy pastries for, let's say, my family, but I had to wait for them to get home or whatever. So in the hospital, they had a broken leg or whatever, and they couldn't go out. So I'm going with a friend to get paid. You never know. And it's none of that person's business that I want to go buy a pastry from your own shop. And you're poor because you're not about business. And so one thing that Western countries are about, they're about being smart and being providing a business. You don't provide good business when you hit someone in your chest. Okay, you keep your hands to yourself, people. Yeah. So you wonder why people don't want to go do business with you because you bring bad habits sometimes into these Western countries. This is a reality to some people. Not everybody is foolish like that. But you have people when the numbers get very high in percentage, you're going to keep your identity. And you may not really, how do you say, you may bring your bad habits with you. And you start to feel comfortable doing those habits because you control the region. But then you're going to wonder and you're going to call out racism, things like that. I mean, there's reverse discrimination. We as Africans may say, we want freedom, we want all these opportunities, but what do you do to yourself? What do you do to yourself when you go overseas? Look what happened to me. It can happen to anybody what happened to me. I didn't know I was going to talk about that, but the decisions that we make, okay, so they allowed this French speaker in Niger to talk about, question why have all these kids yet in Europe they're not having any kids. How are they going to, where's that next generation? Where are they going to get their help from? Where? If the numbers are dropping, and you live forever, like in Italy. There's some nations in Europe, I think Switzerland, some region in Switzerland, they are paying migrants to move there because the village was abandoned. They have abandoned in Switzerland. And if you're under a certain age, and I guess other thing, I'm sure you need money, you can go live there. Oh, yeah. So this is a reality also. They I think where this French speaker was coming from, in my opinion, him visiting Niger, is that he knows as a European, as a white European, that if these people from Niger have kids, they're going to outnumber Europeans. They're going to outnumber them. So he said, well, he's saying you got to slow down. Slow down. It's amazing, people, to slow down. Yeah. And there are discussions like they were mentioning about the African Union that Dr. Arikana is a member of, or was a member of. She speaks on behalf of the continent as a whole. And really it's about trade. And she wants to encourage a unified Africa and no boundaries. I think the only way that could be pulled off is you see these people on the continent. See, some countries in Africa are more stable than others. Some have more resources. Well, when I say resources, I'm talking about food. Okay, because we know a lot of these countries in Africa have minerals. Okay, but those minerals are not used by people there. Those minerals are used in Western countries, and they have industry, they have electronics. Africa doesn't have the same type of electronics, you know. They don't have that. You have some people who don't even have electricity. Have electricity, how you're going to power your electronics. So it's just, you know, they have to think of ways. I don't know how do you measure apples with oranges? Europe it uses electronic, and these countries in Africa, it doesn't have the same thing. People grow their food. People, just basic in their lifestyle, and but you need that. Where are we getting our food? See, the food in Europe, a lot of the foods are becoming synthetic or GMO. You don't survive too long on GMOs. You have all these sicknesses. Maybe in Africa you have people who just don't have enough food and dying because of malnutrition, but you don't want to eat crap either. You don't want to eat GMO foods. It's a different lifestyle. I'm here now for 14 and a half consecutive months. And this part of the country is agriculture. It's just, I just don't understand. I think maybe methods like have good aquaponic, like you use rather than using soil, they have this method of growing food using water, like rather than put it in soil, you have it grow in a water system and grow food that way. If somehow we have to work a little smarter here. Europe imports a lot of food. I had visited this country, like in the Caribbean, like France has a what we call overseas department, like Martinique, Guadeloupe. Those islands in the Caribbean is agriculture, and they ship their food to Europe, to France. Yeah. So it is true that it seems like Europe is feeding off of the hand of the black race. So if that is the case, who really has the power but that black hand? If you are saying that you are the breadbasket for Europe, America, maybe even some places in Asia, why don't you hold the cards? That is the question I have. I think that is the illusion of wealth, the illusion of power. And you think that European is better than you, or so you're taught to feel intimidated by them, right? So I guess it's part of the colonialism that Dr. Ari Khanna talks about. Yes, the history of colonialism was to design, to sculpt the way you think and how you think about certain people. So even though many of these African countries that they got their liberation, they don't control the show. And Dr. Ari Khanna was saying, she keeps on talking about what's called the Berlin Conference. I'm not sure whether we, in high school or junior high school, did I learn about that. But she brings that up a lot. She says the Berlin Conference, I should read up more about it. She was saying that there was, it's really a discussion held by Europeans about how to divide the continent of Africa, and they named the different countries. Wow. Yeah, if somebody else could name you, they also claim you. That's interesting. I'm going to say that again. If they can name you, they can claim you. That means it's not really yours, it's theirs. Wow. So, but you have people now, they may identify with their countries. Yeah, you have borders. You have languages, but a lot of the languages are from their colonial power. So how do you end the legacy of colonialism? How do you, if all the banana grown from your country, the cocoa comes from your country, and then the lithium for the batteries that you depend on in Europe and the Western world, how come you just say no? Why are you doing trade with them? Why are you not why aren't you really benefiting? I think it's the mind. If you think something's only worth a penny, that's all you're going to sell it for. And I've said this before, they need to think more like an Arab, like the people from Saudi Arabia and like Dubai. They need to think more like those people. They have what you call oil, crude oil, right? It's a desert land. I mean, it's just desert. How is that they hold the power in their hand and they're doing something with it? Those people aren't living well, I'm sure I'm sure there are places in Saudi Arabia and by area, you have the place where the poor live. It seems like those nations, they're hiring people from Asia and parts of Northeast Africa to do their labor, and the government pays the people, the citizens of those countries. They pay the money every year. I heard this one country, Kuwait, he gets $6,000 a year to just stay at home, and then they hire the migrants to do all the work. Well, I have a feeling, people, that in the not too far future, excuse me, that those nations will be consumed by foreigners. Yeah, the most of the people there are from somewhere else. They live in different housing than the citizens there, but their numbers, I mean, their numbers are going to grow. And if building an infrastructure in Saudi Arabia and Dubai for Western taste, well, those West, when they go there, they're going to have babies, right? Where are they going to go to live? You know, it's like, I don't know, are they digging their grave? Um, the indigenous people, you know, the citizens of those people, how are they going to be treated by the influx of these new Western people who have money to buy all this stuff? It's going to be a class distinction. It's going to be, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to work out there. But at least those countries are building an infrastructure. These are desert people. You're telling me a desert person has more common sense than these people living in equatorial Africa? I can't understand it. The person from Saudi Arabia, they know their oil is going to cut dry soon. And at least they're using some common sense and building some type of infrastructure. They feel if you build it, they'll come. You build it and they will come. Well, you have oil in Africa. You have people, country like Nigeria, they have oil. Saudi Arabia is not the only country with oil. Okay. So how come that country, Nigeria, how come they're not building their place like how they're building Saudi Arabia? I don't understand it. What are they doing with the money in some of these African countries? I can tell you what I think what's happening. Yeah, part of it is the lure of that, you know, under colonialism, that Europe is better, that America is better. Yeah. And that they're using the money to buy maybe homes in Europe or America. They're sending their kids to the colleges in those other countries. So they're not spending their money in their own country because they think somewhere else is better. And where are they getting some of their women from? Hello? You marry who you want to marry, people. That's not my business who you marry. But again, what are you saying by your actions? Who's benefiting from your actions? That's what I'm saying. So something doesn't seem right. I think also that you have Western nations and making deals with these African nations. They're saying, we'll pay you X amount of money every year to, okay, for one, prevent those migrants to enter Europe from, what's that country? Libya. We don't want them to come in. Or we give you aid, like U.S. aid. You heard about those U.S. aid, right? We give you some food. What else? Or we build some roads for you. Well, you know, they're giving you some, but there's strings attached. And who is really benefiting by, okay, when they give you U.S. aid, food, or to build the roads, it's not going to be for the people's continuity, the people who live there. And sometimes you may have people in high places in Africa, and they'll take a bribe. They'll take the lure of wealth, Western wealth, and splurge it on themselves. And their people go hungry. And because it's not happening to them, they don't mind it. So long that they have a house, they have their multiple houses overseas. Uh, I mean, they showed things in the video I was watching. I thought it was pathetic. This one guy in Niger, the Belgians told him, you know, don't send these bikes in these trucks. We give you. One of them was they gave him some chair. I kid you not. He showed his very modest home. Um, he had a stack of chairs on top of each other. He said, they gave me these chairs. Oh, I'm going to open he said that he wanted to open up a restaurant, and that he put in a proposal to this, I guess, Belgium about, you know, okay, if they don't send the migrants, he's going to be compensated. But it was just a few dollars. It wasn't much. And the European who's interviewing him, a French speaker, says, well, you know, you want to open a restaurant, you just got chairs. Don't you need a table and uh, plates and forks and knives? Yeah, we're going to need, you know, you know, it, I, if you only could see, I'm see this. I gather that this man from Niger, he should really go and see how the people in Belgium live. The standard of living. I mean, the guy basically got peanuts. He just looked like a poor ass dude. Thinks he's getting over and waiting for the plates. It looked like um, it it just looked like poverty upon poverty. Um, Lack of wisdom. You gotta see, like, if you are a business person. I mean, you think about history and the legacy of you know, the slave trade and how these Western nations flourished. Didn't these people who gave away these kidnapped people, don't they wonder how those Europeans or Americans or Mexicans, how they're living? All for your people? You better start watching where your goods are going and what it's being used for. And when you see that it's making them rich, building an infrastructure, building systems of transportation, and then you just got peanuts. There's a thing called stupidity. It's short-sightedness. But also, if you just don't know, you better start looking where who you're selling to and what they're using your product for. Because, yeah, it could be used against you. Um, it's really pathetic, people. You you're doing, you're hurting yourself. You're agreeing with Europe or Belgium or France to wall. You want to build a wall across the Sahara Desert, so people can't move up. You say, oh, well, how come Trump can do it? Well, the Sahara Desert encompasses many nations. It's not just one country. Okay, and many of those people in North Africa are entering into Europe. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not a balance of power. It's not a balance. It's not a balance of energy. You got to start seeing people are using the money. The goods. You're selling your wood. Okay. Well, what are they using it for? And then how could you benefit? You know, rather than you selling the lithium that Westerners are using to make batteries and industry and all that, selling it for a amount of money, maybe you can build that for yourself. You know, hey, you have all the tools to make. You know, you could build cars here. The electric cars. That's what they're using lithium batteries for, right? The batteries for the electric cars that's becoming more popular. Um, you have it here. So you have to change the way the people think here. You know, um, yeah. My impression with everything, based my where I live now in Africa. Um, See, in order to move forward, you have to move forward in your head. And even Dr. Arikana says that what's holding us back is mind. And you know, she's right. What was holding me back? What is holding me back? The way I think. You know, somebody timid about something and say, oh, could I do this? Or could I do that? Am I good enough for this? Or, you know, you start to argue with yourself sometimes. So I think she has a point. What is holding your advancement? The way you think, your mind. And I have to say, yes, I agree with that. I agree with what she's saying. That, see, the people in the West have one way of thinking, and their way of thinking oftentimes means, how can I out trick you? How can I get you? How can I deceive you? I think a lot of people have good hearts out there. They have good hearts. And so when they come into places in Africa, they're not used to people who think like the devil. They're basic people. They grow their food, they raise their children, and they learn what they need to learn in order to live in their physical environment. Uncomplicated. But when you have people who are being driven by, they're being driven by a monetary system. There is a monetary system. And this monetary system is not natural. It is not indigenous to the continent. Where is it indigenous from, this monetary system? Europe. Money is not real. Money is not real, but they create the illusion of wealth through paper money. What if all the money gets burned in the fire? What do you have? And people are exchanging using currency, money. There's a place, the continent here and in Asia, and probably in South America, they might barter. They got this for that in the exchange. But you have people control the banks. They are the deceiver, the master deceivers. You notice that they never seem to fall short of anything because they create all the rules. They they play the Monopoly game to the max, and they can change the rules. They can change the value of the money. They can hoard things. And then they tell you, you know, what else, what I see, what they do in the West. Let's say they have, you know, you heard about, oh, wait, you know, Africa got diamonds and gold. Well, did you know there's a market? And then they can sell you that you're not sell. Or they say that your diamonds are blood diamonds, and then you're not allowed to sell. How is that? How is that people are able to, let's say, the poppy in Afghanistan, they're selling their product, and there's also wars happening there in Afghanistan, right? So it's like, if the third world has a lot of products. They got the poppy plants, they got the diamonds and gold, but then you're not allowed to make money. You're not allowed to sell. Go figure. Yeah, yeah, you have a lot of people. I just think that I'm getting all these videos on YouTube now about Africa and my family back in America. And they were sharing it, and I said, I just started watching that person too. I think the information is getting out about Africa. You have Burkina Faso, young guy, only like 36, 35, 36 years old, and Captain something, his name, I forget. And he was having like talk. I call it like a pep talk to an audience of people. They were at a stadium, an outdoor stadium. And I thought the words he was saying was very profound. It was very, he seemed more like a philosopher. He speaks French very well. Oh, what was happening with Burkina Faso? Yeah, there was a French colony. I'm trying to see here what notes I have there. Oh, I can't remember now. Yeah, you know what I just found out? Yeah, I got this other video from family in America. They sent me something about the country of Rwanda. That's where I live. That the Belgian what do you call it? The embassies. He's shutting down the embassies. Belgium has to leave. He says there's been no more ties. Wow. Is this an accident? Is this this is not an accident. This a lot of things are happening now. See how one thing affects something else. What's happening in America, what's it's affecting everything else. So why? Why is this? Well, they were saying, see, the Rwanda has ties with Congo. Well, Congo is right next to Rwanda. Belgium had control. Belgium had had colonies in this vicinity. People getting angry. I think like it's like a tit for tat. You have history. You have the nations around the world, and we hear about what's happened in other countries because a lot of people do have internet, and they hear what's happening one place. So, how is this going to affect Rwandan relations with the rest of Europe? Isn't Belgium a part of NATO? Could they in turn say, let's do an embargo on Rwanda? Hello, people. Yeah, see, when you slap one person in the face, they can also slap you back. Rwanda is not living by a seaport. Everything has to come in through other nations. You have to wonder, the nations around you, are they friends with Belgium? Are they being bribed by other Western nations? And you can say, hey, don't allow Rwanda to get its goods or services. You know what I'm saying? This could affect you. Yeah, it's not going to end, people. Yeah, I'm just hearing this news about Rwanda breaking ties, diplomatic ties with Belgium. I'm wondering, does it include other embassies, Western embassies besides just Belgium? One video it said all European embassies, but I don't know whether that's true. But I did check about Belgium. Yes, they said Belgium was, but I don't know about when they said all Europeans, this other video, that I don't know. But I thought it was very profound if that other statement is true. Um, yeah, are you powerful enough? Are you powerful enough to be able to say no to somebody? And if you say no, how will you stand? But I say, more power for that decision to be able to say no, and to be able to say no regardless of the outcome, regardless what the other side may do. Yeah, see, if you're already on the bottom, you're already living bare minimum. Um, you don't fall as far, but some, like in Europe, where people may be used to a gold spoon in the mouth, you're going to fall down harder because you're up there. So there's more distance to fall, and it's going to hurt. So yeah, so um, I even heard. Let's see. You remember a couple weeks ago, I was yeah. See, the U.S. is importing a lot of the violent illegal aliens that came in, um, specifically the violent immigrants that came in. Um, Nigeria had. I'm listening to the Nigerian president. He was very upset, and he was saying that he heard that uh, a Nigerian migrant is being deported back to his country, and that upset him, and that he wants the president of Nigeria is allegedly, is saying that all Americans have to leave Nigeria. Now, I'm listening to him. He was actually saying this in a video about a month ago, and I was very worried about that when I saw that, because I am living in Africa, not in Nigeria. But what if someone gets offended and because what someone is doing in another country, and they can take it out on the people living in the person's country? You know what I'm saying? So it's like Nigeria. Um, Nigeria is the largest populous country in Africa, um, and to cut off ties, to order people who are from America. And he didn't specify. See, he was upset. Oh, yeah. He also said, the Nigerian president, about a month and a half ago, he was saying that he was upset about the Nigerian that has to be deported back, and that he noticed that a lot of people who are being deported out of the U.S. are black people, and that's what offended him. So he felt it was a racial thing. He's ordering all Americans out, but he didn't specify only white Americans, or what about if the person Black American? You know, it he did not say. It was not specified. He just said all Americans must leave within 24 hours. Um, so people may say things in anger. People may say things. And people may sound strong to say certain things, but you got to think also, what is going to be consequences when you say something, ordering someone 24 hours to leave, a whole particular nationality to leave your country? How is it going to affect your economy? Are you going to, because someone is removing illegals from their country, it's nothing personal. You're making it seem personal. If someone came into your country and committed acts of violence, wouldn't you want them to leave? And that's all. There are all types of criminals, and not all the criminals are black. I was watching the news. Not all, maybe some of the people black, but they might be considered themselves some other race, right? So yeah, there's a price to pay to say no. Are we willing to take the consequences We say, such and such country. We don't like your influence on us. We don't like you to take our resources. We don't like the legacy of colonialism. We don't like you to teach us what type of music or entertainment we should indulge in. You gotta leave. There's a price to pay. Are we willing to pay the price? That is my question. Are we willing to pay the price? It's it's a question that only the individual can answer. Um, I mean, Nigeria has the oil. Um, what other things does it have? See, everybody's doing a tit for tat, right? There are a lot of people. There are innocent people out there. There are people who just live from hand to mouth in all these countries. You have a lot of poverty in America. That people really live on that one check. You get that check. When we call it one check away from poverty. That one check don't come in. You have just enough to pay for your um, living, your livelihood. But you miss a check, that's it. Yeah, I think people sensitive, people getting angry, and a lot of it rightly so. There are a lot of feelings and a lot of anger, and they're rightly angered, but there's a price to pay. Are you thinking wisely? Or have you thought ahead? If you do this action, what are you as a nation going to do to sustain your people? When people are hungry, and you might be saying, okay, Nigeria might say, okay, everybody from this country leave. What are you going to do when the people in your country say, hey, I relied on that American or that Westerner who buy my products? Well, let's say you have help and you catering to Westerners. What the hell you feed your yeah, just like with the migrants, the people in Niger, not Nigeria, but Niger, who was transporting the people from West Africa primarily up into Libya in trucks so that they could enter Europe. Well, Belgians said no and bribed the people, said, "You cannot bring them into Europe anymore, but we give you some money." And not everybody got the money. And the people hungry. And what are they going to do? They relied on those trucks to send those migrants to Libya, to Libya. They cut it dry. And what are you going to do? They're angry. They're angry. People are interconnected. And the system is trying to create another world war. Not just Europe, but Africa too. Probably, throughout the Americas, again, the border situation. See, they're creating new enemies. They're creating new enemies, people. And there could be a lot of innocent people in the middle. And this bothers me. Yeah, this really bothers me, people. It's done deliberate. And it's not just one person. It's not just the US. It's not just you. We are interconnected. And it's the system that's really, it's affecting everybody. I know that, before I go, there's one other thing that I think is, see, I believe there's something behind this. I mentioned this before, but they have like this matrix system. You have something that they're not visible, but they exist. Just don't see something doesn't mean that it's not there. You have a system, and they could manipulate. And I think with all these things that's happening in America, Europe, Africa, all these places, I think it's a system that's cloaking itself, and they get you fighting each other. See, they're building up, they try to build up to a big, big, big war. There's more people on this planet now, and they're looking for a big payoff, and it's that matrix system. I've told people I do this meditation. I don't do drugs. I do not do drugs. Don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke anything. Um, but there is a system. I don't understand it. But when I meditations, I see other realities in my meditation. When I meditate, you have your eyes closed and you relax the mind. And some of you get visions, visuals. There are entities. They are things, non-human entities. They are not, I'm saying this, they are non-human entities. And I think they are the ones benefiting from all these wars and resources. They have a system, and they are watching us, and I get behind it. These non-human beings are highly intelligent, and I think they are manipulating our reality. Remember, just like that movie, They Live, that was one example how it works. You have, they live amongst you, and only those people that had the special glasses to see them. Well, I don't know where these beings live. I don't know whether they're from another dimension, but during my meditations, I see them. And I don't understand it, but they have a whole system. And I think they are relying on us to harm ourselves. So don't fall for, they want us to eliminate one another. These beings from other world, whatever, they have no allegiance to any of these humans. They are for themselves and at your cost. And they want you to destroy yourself and make them bigger. Don't believe the hype. Try to stay calm in all this. There's a way through this madness. I'm thinking, people, start meditating. Start meditating, and you'll see that there are beings that exist. And I think they are controlling the whole show. And they are the ones that benefit from your resources. Okay. I know that sounds weird, but other realities out there, and they want you to not be in the know. I don't know, people. Yeah, just stay calm. Yeah, it's hard for me to stay calm, but yeah, there's other realities out there, and they want you to be like, "Oh, this is real. All this is real." I mean, it's beautiful here, but is this real? Is this just again about the matrix? You're in a system. They have us fight against each other, but you start to wonder why. Why do we need? Why do we need to buy all this land that you're not going to use? Why? They want you to become a slave to the system. They want to replace humanity. They want to replace you with these robots. They want to put your mind, your brain in a machine. Hollywood is already making movies about them, about people like, what was that movie? Oh, Ex Machina. Yeah, see, Hollywood is giving you the scripts. See, they're telling you a little bit what's going on. You have a system that they're trying to develop, a system that is going to replace humanity. They want to replace humanity, so they get you to destroy yourself, get these machines, and then just take over. Don't let them do it. So places like Africa and in parts of Asia and Latin America, I mean, basic living. People, they don't want you to embrace just being a basic human being. They want you to be deceived by the computers to have it do everything for you. It's there to replace you. Don't let a machine replace you. Get into, buy a piece of land. Build, start cultivating your land and grow your own food. Yeah, don't let them replace. They won't replace you. Don't let them do that. Yeah, don't let don't. That's also why I moved out. I wanted to be closer to the land. I didn't want to be in a plastic environment, even though it has its amenities. But I don't want to eat plastic food. You saw about the waters that they make in America? It bounces. Or the rice, it's plastic rice. It's not real food they're giving you. I don't want to be around that. No, I don't want to be around that. Yeah, start embracing your humanity. They just want us to fight each other. They get angry at this country because they deporting their illegals. Why should you be upset someone's shoving out illegals, violent criminals from their country? You would do the same. So that's not real power to a tit for tat. No, you don't want any illegals violent criminals to enter your country, so the U.S. doesn't want it either. Yeah. So this tit for tat, it's not real business. Um, so we we have to really start thinking. So start being human for a change, people. Let's be human. Let's take things one day at a time. Enjoy what you do have, okay? And in business, um, know where your resources are going and what they're using it for. Rather than having them create that product, maybe you could create the product instead in your country. Maybe start building electric cars in Africa. Hello, you got all those resources to do it, and you have the manpower. You just need the knowledge, okay? Get the knowledge. Think more like the Arab desert people, right? They live on the desert, and their product is oil, and they know the oil is going to dry up. In the meanwhile, they're building infrastructure for something, okay? And I think Africa should do the same. Start building your infrastructure. Take control of your resources. And when you can say no, say no. Okay. So thank you again. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Yeah, I was getting a little stressed about the information I see on the news. Um, is this all real? Is this really real? So thank you again. You can share your comments below, your experiences regarding this subject with these developing countries in Africa, and what answers do you have? How does Africa move forward? Since the 1980s, I've been hearing the same thing about Africa, this or that. What are we doing? We're getting fooled. That's what we are. We're getting fooled. We are getting sucked into the illusion of where your people are starving. Okay. Oh well. So thank you again. Peace and love to you. Until next time. Thank you.